If you do not, I promise you, all the world will know the truth about Edmund, son of Ethelred. How he sacrificed the courage of his kingdom to hide his own fear, and they will join us in hailing King Blaver, the coward of London.
In 11th century Europe, Danish Vikings have set up an extensive settlement in England called Danelaw. During the St. Brice's Day feast, Sten, the local leader, announces that his younger brother, Prince Harald, will be leaving for Norway after a long visit. Sten and a small group of Vikings then set out for London, saying that the Saxon king Ethelred II has summoned them. When Sten and his group of Vikings arrive at the king's palace, the king informs them that he's decided to exterminate all Vikings living on the island. Sten and his men are killed, while back in the village, men, women, and children are slaughtered indiscriminately. In the present, a small fleet of Viking ships led by Leif Erikson arrives at Kattegat in Norway. Leif explores the settlement while Harald speaks with Freydís Eiríksdóttir, Leif's sister, about their journey from Greenland. They introduce themselves, clearly showing romantic interest on both sides. Freydís and Harald then have sex, and she reveals a cross-shaped scar on her back. She informs Harald that she's looking for the man who did that to her. The next day, Leif and Freydís witness her assailant as he arrives, only to discover he is close to Jarl Olaf, a Christian Viking ruler who tells King Canute of Denmark that he wishes to convert the entire Viking community in exchange for fighting alongside them. Harald, recognizing Leif's skills as a fighter, invites him to come along on the attack. Later that night, Freydís attacks and kills the man who assaulted her, fracturing the already fragile alliance. Jarl Håkon and King Canute are trying to figure out a proper punishment for Freydís. Both Leif and his sister have been put in jail, where they fully expect to be put to death for their revenge. During the trial, there is much arguing between the Christian Vikings and the pagans. Ever the peacemaker, Harald suggests that Leif Erikson serve in the battle to pay for his sister's debt, with Canute and Håkon agreeing. In England, the Saxons are working to resettle the lands previously occupied by the Vikings. As the king speaks with Earl Godwin about the pending Viking attack, it becomes obvious that he is quite ill. Bedridden, he tells his wife, Queen Emma, that he wishes his son Edmund to rule in his stead. Earl Godwin and Queen Emma discuss fortifications, and she eventually sends him to protect the young would-be king Edmund on his mission. Harald gives Leif a ship, and the Vikings prepare to set sail. Leif says goodbye to Freydís, who must remain at Kattegat until the debt is paid. Sailing with Leif is Jarl Gorm, who is strongly opposed to Viking Christianity. Tensions finally peak between Gorm and Leif kills him in battle just as the fleet arrives in England. Having arrived in England, the Vikings begin their attack, raiding a small village and slaughtering them all. After taking the town, the Lady of Kent informs them that King Ethelred has died. In response, the Vikings announce they will take revenge on his son Edmund instead. Meanwhile, young Edmund is convinced he must fight alongside his men, though Queen Emma disagrees. Godwin, who wished to prove a point, challenges the young king in a mock battle and easily beats him. The two agree that it's best to initiate the coronation as soon as possible. Looking to investigate the English defenses, Harald and Leif set off on a scouting mission. On their way through the marshes, they are attacked by a small English force and retreat. By the next day, Leif has still not returned. Fortunately for him, he is found the next day by Harald, and the two decide to enter London on their own. Upon arriving at the London Bridge, they closely examine the drawbridge for weaknesses. In Sweden, Freydís rides to Uppsala on a pilgrimage. Unfortunately, her small band of Vikings is assailed by a warrior with a cross around his neck. He manages to kill almost everyone before Freydís takes him down. She quickly realizes that she and her one female companion are now alone. Their attacker, however, was not. Later, a healer explains that he is part of a group that hunts pagan pilgrims, and his friends will be looking to avenge him. Leif wakes up amid a pile of dead bodies, clearly injured and experiencing memories of a great battle. The day before, he attempts to convince King Canute of his plan to assault the English. Harald suggests they kill the newly coronated king rather than attempt to take London, while Leif mentions that the drawbridge is a point of vulnerability. In the meantime, Edmund and his troops are coming up with their own plan of attack. They travel to Mercia, a part of England, that wishes to become independent in exchange for fighting. As a counteroffer, Edmund offers to Ealdorman Strona double the province's lands. That night, Leif and a small group set out for London on a small boat, passing under the bridge where they proceed to hide. The main Viking force sails up from the south in the early morning. The bells sound, calling everyone to war. Another Viking force approaches by land, crossing the bridge while Leif and his men carve at its support beams. King Canute challenges Edmund, who berates the impulsive king and gets him to attack before Mercia's troops can arrive. The armies do battle on the bridge, with Canute retreating. As expected, the king follows them, though Emma recognizes the situation as a trap. Leif has already attached ropes to the bridges so that the boats can pull it down. With the bridge destroyed and no way to return, King Edmund is captured by Canute. Freydís has arrived to Uppsala, where she speaks with a pagan priestess. The Vikings, meanwhile, continue their assault on London, bursting into the throne room to confront the queen, whom Olaf takes prisoner. Harald, in the meantime, talks about his brother's betrayal to a captured Godwin and Edmund. Canute interrupts and informs him that he wants the king kept alive. Though Harald wants revenge, Canute is after power. Canute speaks with King Edmund and accuses him of having the queen plan his battles for him. She, meanwhile, speaks with Olaf, her husband's former advisor. He admits he plans to seize England's riches for himself and will hold Emma and her children hostage if he must. Back in Sweden, Freydís undergoes a ritual in which she drinks a concoction that makes her hallucinate. She encounters a powerful seer who warns her that her past will catch up with her very soon. Simultaneously, Harald confronts Canute about his change of heart on Edmund. Though he is angry, Harald is promised the throne of Norway in exchange for continuing the campaign. Harald then goes to retrieve Queen Emma, who he invites to a dinner with the rest of the Vikings. Leif is hailed as a hero, but he is saddened at having lost so many of his fellow Greenlanders. His companion, Liv, has managed to survive her wound, and he invites her to stay with him in England. The two kiss, and she agrees to stay. At the dinner, Canute thanks Strona, the leader of Mercia, for not engaging his army in the battle. Even so, as a show of force, he cuts his head off in front of the group, claiming that Strona was an oathbreaker. Back in Sweden, the Pilgrim Slayers are following Freydís' trail. They assault the woman who helped her after the attack, and she tells them that Freydís is at Uppsala. Still in Sweden, Freydís confronts the men who have been following her. She learns that the man leading the group is named Jarl Kåre, who talks with her about her encounter with the seer. Upon learning that she has been called the Last, he decides not to kill her, but lets her send a message to Jarl Håkon that he is coming for her. In England, Olaf decides to return to Norway, where he too plans to be king. Leif and Harald, who is intent on the same goal, leave for home as well. Canute has meanwhile formed an alliance with Emma, returning her sons in exchange for her serving as his advisor as he unites England under his banner. Though he plans to keep Edmund alive and in power, he states that he will be the real power behind the throne. Back in Sweden, Freydís warns Håkon of the impending attack, while Jarl Kåre goes to Uppsala. Håkon tells Freydís about a disturbing vision while informing her she believes she is a hero, the last daughter of Uppsala. Leif returns back to Kattegat to reunite with his sister. Harald returns as well, informing Håkon of his intent to become king, while Olaf, now in Denmark, tells Canute's wife that her husband has assumed the throne and may marry Queen Emma, hoping to form an alliance with her against Harald when it comes time to choose the next king. In Sweden, Freydís officially becomes a shield maiden of Kattegat, but it remains clear that the Greenlanders are not welcome there. Harald and Freydís rekindle their relationship while still in Uppsala. Jarl Kåre interacts with the seer, who tells him a secret that greatly angers him. Back in England, Canute receives a letter in the middle of the night, confronting Emma about its contents, and then quickly marrying her. Soon after, Canute's father, King Forkbeard, arrives in London to speak with Edmund and Emma, both of whom he threatens. It is revealed that Canute has been sent to Denmark, and his father intends to rule England in his place. Back at Kattegat, the Vikings have been sent a message, a boat, decorated with severed heads, and a baby with a cross of blood on its head. They learn that many pagan villages have been destroyed by Jarl Kore, who has burned Uppsala and wishes to conquer Kattegat and build a Christian church there. The lords of England meet with Edmund and Forkbeard, but soon find the latter to be very difficult to deal with. He even stabs the Jarl of Wessex to death, putting Godwin in his place. Olaf then sails to Norway and unites with Jarl Kore, who discuss their plans to install Olaf as the Norwegian king. Godwin and King Edmund meet with deposed English rulers to forge a rebel plan. Since Canute has married Emma, his death would make Edmund the sole king again. Unfortunately, Edmund has an accident on the way back, which is revealed to be a secret trap set by Godwin to kill the young king. In Norway, Leif and Liv return to Kattegat to report the alliance of Kore and Olaf, and the city prepares for battle. Back in England, Forkbeard learns that Canute's queen, Alfagu, has brought the fleet to England to claim her place by Canute's side. Emma decides to use this opportunity to form a shaky alliance with Forkbeard. Emma is summoned to the throne room, where Forkbeard and Queen Alfagu inform her that she is no longer queen. Surprised at Forkbeard's betrayal, she is dragged away from the throne room and shipped off to Normandy. Alfagu, meanwhile, assumes the title of Queen of England, but refuses to reveal the location of Canute's fleet. Instead, she offers to reach out to Mercia on behalf of Forkbeard and Canute. As battle ramps up in Kattegat, Harald, having secretly been in contact with his brother Olaf, meets Jarl Kore and informs them that the warriors in Kattegat are waiting for them. Olaf, Harald, and Kore go to meet their enemy to discuss terms, and Harald issues a secret warning to Leif, letting him know that his brother and Kore plan to simultaneously attack from land and sea. The battle ensues shortly after. In the middle of the chaos, Leif realizes there's no army aboard the ships and redirects his troops back to the wall. Meanwhile, Olaf informs Harald that he merely used him to betray Kore. He simply wanted to separate Kattegat's forces and allow most of Kore's men to die in the fighting. In the meantime, Kore's forces have breached the walls and are attacking the town. He enters the Jarl's house and confronts Freydís in one-on-one combat. Jarl Håkon dies during the fray, along with many of her people. Despite her relative inexperience, Freydís manages to best Kore. With him out of the way, Olaf rides in to claim the town. Seeing no way to win, Harald and Freydís escape on horseback. In London, Emma is back on the throne, revealing Alfagu's trip to Mercia to be a brilliant double cross by Forkbeard. The ruse gave him time to find Canute's hidden fleet, and moments later, Forkbeard and those ships arrive at Kattegat, forcing Olaf to beat a hasty retreat.
We must attack!